You didn't hear?
No, I didn't hear. What happened?
It's Friday.
It
What
is
is that,
Friday, dude. What are you doing this weekend? This is
bro?
exciting.
I'm
I
unpacking.
literally forgot.
I'm literally just unpacking still. There's like, we finished all the boxes in the kitchen, and then I turned and saw like four more boxes in the living room. I was like, wait. It was like those scenes in scary movies where someone throws something out and then they turn around and it's right there. I was like, I'm having freaking like nightmares about U-Haul boxes that I have to unpack. So
Why
that's
do you have
my
so much
weekend
stuff,
plan.
bro?
Way too much stuff.
Too much stuff. You got to go light. The trick to moving across the country is if it doesn't fit in your car, it goes in the trash or sell it. I sold a lot of stuff before I came here. That was nice too. Funded the gas money, you know?
Fair. I mean, we got a bunch of shit for free, so we're not complaining about it.
Cool. Cool. So
Champagne problems, to say the least.
yeah, unpacking all weekend. That sounds good. Anything crazy? Nice.
What are you doing? Hunting, fishing,
Working. No, I'm
boating?
not hunting or fishing. I'm gonna go hiking for sure. It's beautiful, kind of autumnal weather here. It's getting a little cooler outside, which is nice. Almost sweater weather. I'm gonna go on a hot date tonight. I'm trying to decide if I should mention Bitcoin or not. Should I wear the hat? This is nothing gets them going more than a really beat up Satoshi Nakamoto hat. You know?
Yeah, I mean, it just depends on if you're trying to hide your head or not.
Yeah. That's the double benefit of the hat. I need just like a black one that doesn't say Satoshi Nakamoto, but
Where'd you meet this girl?
on the internet. This is
Ooh, ooh. Which
I mean,
dating app do you use?
the only place I can meet women in real life is either like hiking, camping, or at jiu-jitsu or yoga. Because I don't go anywhere else. I mean, I'm not going to bars. I mean, I don't go to coffee shops. If I lived in the city, it might be different. You know, I could kind of have a local haunt or like a restaurant that I go to, but I just don't go into the city except for jiu-jitsu basically and yoga. So if it's not that friend circle or I'm not going out with that friend circle, it's got to be the internet.
So are you swiping right on Tinder?
Mostly left, bro. Quality on dating apps is very, very, very low. It's like abysmally low.
Have you heard of these like class action lawsuits that are coming out against like all of the big dating apps?
No. What's going
Essentially, there's information that's been found where they're throttling users who don't pay. So like they all have a free version that you can use, but then what they've done and what has been found is that they literally intentionally give you like the ugliest guys and girls.
Yeah. No, you can tell. You can tell when you first hop on, it's like there'll be a string of like 10 to 20, like 8 to 10s, and most of them are like bots. You know what I mean? They'll just send you their Snapchat or something. There are not very many. It's a total waste of time. Like these dating apps don't work because they're all infiltrated with bots. The quality of people are really like desperate, low, freaky. It's a great way to get drugged, robbed. Like it's pretty big theme with the show today. I mean, I think Russell Brand probably used a little too much. What's the celebrity dating app? Yeah, something like that.
Oh, dude, it's so awesome though. I used to be on it way back in the day. Way back in the day, I was.
Yeah,
you have to pay to be on it. You only get 3 people per day that you can swipe on. But like when I say there were just straight up supermodels and actresses, like well-known actresses that you know, I mean, I literally never matched with anyone, did it for 2 months, and I was like, I should probably not be paying money for this app.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it's more fun to meet people in real life for sure. You gotta get out there. Got to get out there and do things. It's basically the only way to go if you're looking for something serious, especially in Bitcoiner land. This segues nicely into like all of our stories for the day, but we should talk about this. There's like this crazy. I mean, having kids is like a right wing thing to do right now, right? Like if you have kids, you're basically a right wing extremist. Based on the online, cultural circles that I'm in.
Right, but I have a dog, so that counts.
According to our Lord and Savior, our Middle Eastern, Allah, Saifuddin, dogs don't count. Dogs and
What
pets
about
don't
chopped
count.
liver?
Yeah. Well, you guys are from different places, right?
Yes.
Okay,
My
so
country owns his country.
let me find this. Let me find this tweet by Safe. This is a controversial take, but I mean, he's in no hurry to make friends. But let me read this. Safe says indoor pets are high time preference, inadequate, disgusting child replacements. I mean, I kind of agree with that. If you have a pet as a child replacement, that's mental illness on some level. But they're less work in the short term, and they don't require you to partner with another human. But they'll never clean their poop and never care for you as you age. As if that was kind of new information. Suck it up and breed. It's not that hard. These hot takes are just so spicy and so aggressive and so angry. I mean, man, I hope the bear market is not affecting you guys as bad as it's affecting Safe because he's so unhappy.
I mean, you know that old Simpsons meme of old man yells at empty room, old man yells at
Yeah,
fill
he
in the
yells at the
blank.
sky. Yeah. This old
Literally,
man's
it's
yelling at
just that.
everybody. Yeah, including I just don't know. I don't know, man. It's so unpleasant. It's such a bad look for Bitcoin. Like,
I mean, I've
you
never
gotta.
been on the wrong side of one of Safe's rants. Now, have I done things that if
He doesn't
Safe
know who
knew
you
about,
are.
he would? No, no, no,
Once
no,
he
no.
knows you, he can start treating you like shit. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I've only
Yeah,
met him
yeah.
a couple of times. He told me he wasn't comfortable with the topic of conversation we were having. And yeah, that was the extent of my like longest conversation with Safe.
That was my experience too. I got this. Someone came up when we were talking. He's a nice enough guy in person. I mean, we are chatting. Full disclosure, I worked for the guy for like 4 years. He can't be bothered to pick up the phone or have like a human conversation. It's just like tersely worded emails, like do this, and I don't know. The times I met him in person, he was cool, but it was funny. He had nothing to say about ordinals or inscriptions, which is fine. They were fairly new at the time. They'd only been around for like 6 or 7 months, and he's like, "I haven't had any time to look into it. I don't have an opinion." And then I go on a few weeks later, receive several scathing emails, him and like my staff and my friends just blowing us up for I don't know what for I don't have any particular association with ordinal inscriptions. The problem was we had programmed them on stage at a certain Bitcoin event. We had programmed debates, what were intended to be debates and discussions about ordinals inscriptions, which are within Nakamoto consensus. It's part of Bitcoin. To ignore it would be insane. I mean, do you agree? Am I off here? It's not shitcoinery to have a debate about something or to discuss it or to even be the person that just okays the debate. I mean, you can't ignore things that are that instrumental in Bitcoin where they're changing the fee rates, they're changing miner incentives to the point where miners are receiving twice as much subsidy and block reward, not subsidy, but block rewards. Everyone in the culture at the time had to have an opinion about it. You can't ignore that at a Bitcoin show.
No,
And
and I agree with you on the merit of like this is technology that's literally being built on and impacting the Bitcoin ecosystem. So it's
right.
it's
I'm not saying good
necessary,
or
not just
bad.
worthy. No.
I
It's
mean,
it's
mostly useless,
necessary to
but
have these conversations. I will caveat it, and I'm gonna strongly on the other side of the discussion for just a second, though.
yeah.
As it pertains to things like the Bitcoin conference, that sometimes is the first exposure people get to Bitcoin and even the broader cryptocurrency space.
Sure. Can't
And I
control for
think
that.
there's the concern, to put it very simply, is that like the way I'm rationalizing what he's saying is if these new people come in and the people that you have arguing the side that I believe in, that I agree with, lose the debate, and all the new people start going to this other side,
They should
you
have better
created
argument.
bad content. That's my interpretation.
They should have the content. I wasn't on stage for this, but I think here's the real problem too. This guy tells me I don't want to be on stage, so I'm like, all right, no problem. He's had enough. We've promoted his books enough, done enough work for him. Put him on the biggest stage every year. You know what I mean? Comes back in the 11th hour, as always, saying, hey, I want to be on the main stage. Comes to the event, has no idea what fucking ordinals are. Talks to another angry person, and misery loves company after the event, and decides I'm going to adopt this opinion because it allows me to be outraged and upset and unhappy and continue ranting and rallying against people who are my friends. So sends these emails that I can't even release these things, man. That his career would be over. There's definitely a reason this person's unemployed. These are the most nasty, personal, just it's like mental illness. So you can't, there's no rationalizing with it. When it comes to the inscriptions thing, it's I don't know, get over it. You guys, you ushered in Taproot without asking permission from anybody. This is what happens. I don't know what to tell you. Begged you not to change Bitcoin. I'm mostly in the same camp with him. I kind of have come to think, unlike him, I can approach it objectively and say, let me use the tech. Let me see what happens. I'm not trying to scam anybody. Let me make an inscription, never sell it, never promote it, see what the future of these holds. And then, you don't see, I think the volume of these things is largely going down. I think the tech is pretty shaky. You can see they're having a renumbering, reallocation of the inscription numbers over time right now. So it's okay, the take is largely right, but being so angry just isn't productive for anybody, especially for people who spend their whole lives working in the industry, working to spread Bitcoin adoption. You can't ignore things that are changing Bitcoin at a protocol level or that are involved in Bitcoin at a protocol level. That's part of that's part of the package. You can't just ignore the bad. And my other criticism is this is a person who has next to no technical understanding of Bitcoin. Entire book titled Bitcoin, one chapter. And the fundamentals are shaky at best. Doesn't understand how Bitcoin changes, doesn't understand how to code, doesn't understand how changes are implemented or agreed upon, has been in the space for long enough to know better. You have no right to go after people like this. So I don't know. I think my point is these influencers, they get about one cycle. And then if they don't change their shtick, they don't change their attitude, they start to get angry. And they start to, have an existential crisis because they realize they're fading into irrelevance. So maybe they write the same book twice. Maybe they write the same book 3 times. And then they realize, I'm an old man. I'm an angry old man. I have nothing to contribute to this anymore. So I'm just going to condemn every person and new idea and young person and happy person. And I'm going to make everyone around me as miserable as me. Sounds like a fun dad.
Wow. Feel better?
I do. I feel a lot better.
Okay,
Yeah.
Can we go on to the actual stories for today?
This is a pretty good story, man. You can't attack people for having pets. That's insane. People like pets. No one really thinks their dog is their kid. Get real. Come on.
Oh no, my girlfriend does. My girlfriend literally believes that she gave birth to her dog. It's a little weird sometimes.
All right. Well, maybe that tweet's for her. Maybe I don't understand who it's for. But it seems to me, correct me if I'm wrong. It seems I think the guy's addicted to outrage. It's fiat. It's a total high preference fiat. He can't think rationally or slowly or objectively. It's no, I need to react. I need to react. There's no space between whatever occurs in Bitcoin and his reaction for him to have any freedom to decide what to do. It's just I see red. I'm going to attack people online. Maybe it'll go viral and I can feel this is what's happening here. There's no positivity. There's no positivity in the whole profile. Go through it. Scroll through the tweets,
Yeah, but there's also no positivity on Bitcoin Twitter right now. There's so much infighting. There's not any
I think we're the positivity on Bitcoin Twitter, man. I'm super optimistic about the future.
Dude,
yeah, we are.
I am the living embodiment of the meme where it's the guy that's sitting on the cliff ledge watching the war happen down below, and it's the people who just go on Twitter and like and retweet, and then it's everyone else who actually that's me. I'm the guy on the cliff. I watch. I see it all. I see all your stupid comments. I see all of your shitty memes. I see it all. All your awful takes.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of that. I mean, I don't think Bitcoin Twitter is particularly important as a vessel. I mean, I'm not here to police people's conduct, but I'll certainly call out people who are hyper aggressive and who personally try to attack me. I mean, there's no reason for that. We're all here for this. I would hope we're all here to kind of spread adoption and use cases and get this thing off the ground, but the way that people behave sometimes isn't productive toward that end. You have to have an optimistic outlook. Why would someone want to join a community of just like outraged, hateful people? I mean, it's going to attract more. Like, it's not you know what I mean? I
No,
want
totally. Like
forward
that's
thinking, future oriented people on our team.
I agree with that fully because like I've long said, dude, this idea of trying to shatter people's worldviews and everything they've believed for their entire life, and to do it while telling them how dumb they've been for believing these lies is the most moronic way I've ever heard of trying to convince someone to believe your argument.
It's the path of most resistance, which Bitcoiners seem dead set on taking, you know? I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, calling Bitcoin money in itself, which it is, but I'm just saying calling it and advertising it as such is the path of most resistance. You're going to have the most nation states try to fuck you. And I
Oh,
think,
shit, my girlfriend heard me talking shit about her. She's coming to beat me.
oh no, yeah, that's a personal personal issue. All right, we can get in. I mean, I've got more of this rant to go on. There's a
We're
lot more
too in the
points.
weeds on this. I want to move on. Candidly, I want to go to Russell Brand.
There's more points to be made, but we'll save them for another episode.
The takeaway here is stop being assholes.
Yeah, don't be an asshole.
So, unless you've been living under a rock, you may have heard about Russell Brand. But what you may not realize is that these aren't accusations from recent times. These are actually accusations that have already come up 15 years ago that are resurfacing again. Also, not my large concern. That's a whole separate issue. My concern and where this story gets really dark to me is the fact that the UK Parliament has reached out not only to Rumble, not only to TikTok, but countless news organizations that Russell Brand is a contributor towards, and essentially asking or urging to confirm that does Russell Brand continue to make money by releasing content on your platform, because we don't think he should be able to make money on your platform. And that is where I start to have a problem. I'm a huge Russell Brand fan. If you don't think Forgetting Sarah Marshall is one of the top 5 comedy movies of all time, you have no sense of humor. Don't ever at me. Don't even try to talk comedy with me. Like that is a top 5 movie all time in the comedy section. Now,
I gotta go back to we gotta have this debate again and out you. I mean, we asked you for the greatest directors in movies of all time once, and the list was I mean, I had to log out for the day. It was so bad.
but the issue with that is like it depends on like sometimes I want to watch a shitty comedy.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah, I
why I
feel
put a
that.
movie like Hot Rod is not by any stretch of the imagination some like cinematic masterpiece. But if you're in the mood to smoke a bunch of weed and watch like a stoner-esque comedy, Hot Rod is probably the greatest movie other than Half Baked in that
I
category.
mean, are there they don't even make comedies anymore. They can't make them the same. I mean, probably what's that movie where they go to Vegas? That was probably the last good one with the little
The Hangover?
yeah, The Hangover. That was like one of the last free, you know, you could feel it. That was a free they did everything they wanted to do. It was like a freely made comedy. Barbie
You
was pretty
should
funny.
see
I
Barbie.
mean,
Honestly, Barbie was fucking hilarious. I don't
it
give a
was,
shit
but I
what
wouldn't
people
call it a
say.
comedy. That was a tragic comedy. There were people bawling in the theater like that.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's just Othello. Like
Yeah,
it's this
yeah.
that like it's honestly my favorite thing was like it's the exact same movie as the Black Panther, except just with a blonde girl. But I would actually say, do you like Bert Kreischinger?
I mean, I've never met him.
But
I
like,
think
have you seen his stand up?
Yeah, he's disgusting. No, I don't find him that funny.
Uh,
Like, he's disgusting human. I like him because he's happy. I like him because he's a happy guy. He's like
I
this
love him
happy
because he just
alcoholic.
doesn't care that you think he's disgusting. And he's just going to take his shirt off and talk about getting fucked up and all the stupid shit he did. And
Yeah.
so he had a movie come out over the summer called The Machine. And it's like a buddy comedy where, oh my God,
It's
I'm
about his
spacing on
story. It's about his whole life story.
kinda. It's like a fictional reimagining of like that story coming to present day. And they push the envelope with certain things. And I was like, I appreciate this. And I walked out being like, I laughed a lot. I enjoyed this. Now this is a very American thing to say about films, but like I very consistently, especially when with comedy movies, I tend to call them fun. It was a fun experience to be in the movie theater. I learned from my British counterparts one time. They were like, I've never heard someone say movies fun. I was like, welcome to America, because that's all I say.
British people don't view movies the same way. I'm British, so when you watch a movie in Britain, they're throwing things at the screen, laughing, talking over the whole thing, making jokes like live during the thing. It's a totally different kind of atmosphere.
But I would boo them out.
Yeah. We're lost in the weeds here. Let's
dude, no. Okay, last one. I haven't gone to
see
it, but there's a fucking hilarious movie where Will Ferrell and Jamie Foxx play these dogs, and it's like raunchy and dirty and hilarious.
Not spending my big one on that.
I'm gonna send you the trailer, and you're gonna love it. Okay, getting back to Russell Brand though. So we have the British Parliament pulling the Twitter files here, except it's not being done in secret. It's a little bit more out in the open, trying to forcibly.
They've been open for years. This has been happening since Me Too. It's crazy. I mean, this is what censorship looks like.
Look at Johnny Depp.
There's no trial. Well, he had a trial at least.
Right, but he lost all of his accounts or all of his jobs before the trial. After the trial, when Disney offered him almost $1 billion to do one more Pirates of the Caribbean movie, he was like, nah.
Look at the incentives here. Okay. The power is misaligned. This is like asymmetric, powerful opportunity for women. And it is for women. This is a gender thing. This is for women in media, and the media who are women. They can accuse anyone they like of, what is he accused of? Rape,
sexual
assault, and emotional abuse. I don't know how you define any of those. I don't know whether he's guilty or not. He might be guilty. That's not what I'm commenting on.
Pause.
What?
I think you should clarify what you just said and specify it towards emotional abuse.
He is accused of emotional abuse. That's part of the headline.
Right, but you're saying you don't know how to define those things. And I'm like, it's pretty easy to define the other two.
It's pretty easy to define the other two. I don't know how you define emotional abuse, if that's what you want me to clarify. Sure.
Yes,
but I don't know. But I'm also, what I'm saying is, I don't know if he's guilty or not on any of these cases. I don't know Russell Brand. I don't really give a fuck.
No, you know what? Actually, we do know Russell Brand.
Let me finish my fucking.
Sorry.
Point. No, I don't know Russell. I don't care if he's guilty or not, but there hasn't been a trial here. Like, this is a trial of public opinion. This is a trial by media, and you have an actual government coming after this man to cancel and silence him. That's not cool. So I'm really pumped that the Rumble platform stood up and was like, no, fuck you, Parliament. I mean, I disagree with their take that they are the free internet, because they do decide arbitrarily. They have an algorithm. It's not. Now, if this were on Nostr or Zap.stream, it'd be a totally different case. They couldn't censor him. They couldn't take away his money, his earnings, right? All the earnings we get through Zap.stream go straight to a wallet. And then I decide whether or not to give them to Q.
Yeah, just for note, I've never seen $1 from this show or a sat.
So I think the solution we're going to come to, and what we'll get into, is basically that Nostr and Bitcoin could have protected him in a lot of ways against this. And Russell has refused, I know for a fact, to reach out to the guy 40 times and made contact with his managers and him throughout the past. Doesn't get it. He doesn't understand Bitcoin, doesn't understand Nostr. He's not actually in this for free speech. What he wants is a platform that will accelerate him to the moon, that was going to insulate him against these attacks. That's why he had a kid, new wife, change of heart. Fuck, I have a really dirty past of some really shitty behavior. This behavior is on tape. Okay, this is not a person who's been doing good things his entire life. Like, this is kind of a slimy guy. I've seen it. I've watched the videos. You can see it. I mean, it says clear as day. He might not be that way anymore, but the dude wears eyeliner, like fucking red flags all over the place, right?
Dude, I mean,
I'm not saying you should cancel him, and he's a comedian. It makes sense. He does like
he was a
crazy
touring
things.
musician who would talk about all of his like drug-induced like sexual orgies. Like, this wasn't someone who like kept this stuff hidden in the shadows.
Right. So this 180 is kind of perfect and brilliant crisis management on him. I mean, we don't know. I would assume, I don't know, but I would assume it's going to come out that he's paid women in the past to keep quiet. There's no other. This is a guy who's probably,
I don't really
had sexual relations with hundreds of women throughout his career
thousands.
here.
No, he literally said
could be
on
thousands.
his video, he said in the video, in his apology video, that he's had over thousands of encounters with women.
I was like, and men, clearly, but look,
McShane was one of those men.
No, dude, this guy. I mean, I tried to help this guy. I've tried to bring him to Bitcoin events before, just as a guest to learn something. I've tried to get him onto Nostr. I've tried to get Bitcoin before. It was like, dude, you're advocating for free speech. You hate the media. You're clearly going a little bit, red pilled here. It's like, you need to get to the sovereign stage, but he didn't insulate himself from these institutions by adopting Bitcoin and Nostr and free and open source software. So he doesn't have true freedom of speech.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he wouldn't have his money taken away if it was in Bitcoin. He wouldn't have his platforms taken away if he is on Nostr, but he didn't listen. And this is what happens. I mean, the tools are out there. And I think these people who like this, who have a dicey past, who maybe need to want to make a change, like, they need to adopt these tools to insulate themselves. And I'm not saying he should be absolved of any crimes he did commit. Like, there should be a trial. But it's really fucked up of YouTube and governments to go after him before any trial. I mean, that's insane.
Yeah, like we are so quick to judge people based on headline news that we fail to recognize the humanity in each other and like what and how this can change someone's life. Beyond that side of this discussion, like, the unfortunate truth is we are now very consistently seeing the British government overstep. It's not just Russell Brand. Nigel Farage had his bank accounts locked out,
bank accounts frozen
for no valid reason other than
canceled.
He supported
Unplatformable.
Brexit.
Yeah. Well, he initiated Brexit.
Fair, but like, that's not illegal. You shouldn't not have access to your money. You may not agree with that decision, but we're grown ass adults here. Like,
Nigel's adopted Bitcoin. There's a difference here. Nigel had every opportunity to protect himself and put his money into Bitcoin. He knows about it. But, I know Nigel. I talk to him on a regular basis. Like, he gets it. He knew he.
No, I don't doubt that. Like, he's been at the Bitcoin conference. He was there last year. He's going to be there in a few weeks. Like, I don't doubt that he's aware, but I think that we have to be honest that, like, he doesn't have all of his net worth in Bitcoin. He probably has a majority of it actually in fiat in these banks and was locked out of. And we're just talking the British government here. Now let's go over the pond. We all are fully aware of what happened in Canada last year with the Canadian
getting censored
truckers.
by YouTube is Russell Brand being censored by the American government. There is no difference.
No. Let me show a pattern here, because these actions by Western democracies are things that you would expect to see out of authoritarian regimes such as China or Iran or Russia, but we're seeing them here right now. So I want to ask you a very simple question. We don't have a social credit score in the way that China does, but we actually do. And these instances are proof to me that there is a secret, silent social credit score. And if you overstep a certain line, you will get got and they will not pull punches. Look at what's happening all over the world. It's not just Russell Brand. Look at
I think they
Andrew Tate
wait
as well.
too. No. I think they pull their punches until the right moment. They wait until he's ascended, and could not be more bright because they make more money on the media side from canceling a bigger star. If you go back maybe 4 or 5 years ago, Russell Brand wasn't as relevant, hadn't quite ascended. The independent thing wasn't working out as well. Didn't have a platform like Rumble to stream on. You know what I mean? Like they're choosing very carefully when to take these people down.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Like
Yeah.
it's worth it a lot more if you kill a 1,000-pound boar versus a 500-pound boar.
Yeah, exactly. No, listen, I mean, he's not the first and not the last. This is kind of socialist
No, this is authoritarian.
ideology.
Don't. This is not socialism. This is authoritarianism. This is social credit scores, but these are not.
No, it is.
corporatized.
The socialists are asking the government to do this, to censor and put round edges on the world for them and make it a safe place so that they can get their vaccines in peace. And you know, it's all part of the same thing. It's this basically like super weak ideology that's infecting Western culture, and that's like silently giving rise to, like you said, authoritarian, and you could almost even call it fascist behavior. This censorship, this anti-free speech, this anti-human behavior. Humans shouldn't have money. I mean, these people don't even recognize what money is. To them, it's just a government coupon. If it's not backed by the state, it doesn't have any value. I need the state to validate all my actions. I need the state to provide for me. I need it to be my dad. I need it to. It's just, it seems to have, I don't know if it's just because I'm getting older and changing, or if really society is devolving, this quickly. But the censorship seems to have escalated in the last 10 years. I mean, would you agree with that? I don't.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, there was a certain we were talking about films before. You could see it in the media and the theater of the country, like the culture itself. There are things you can't say and do now. You can't, you don't have free speech.
Cancel culture has stunted us as a civilization and a society more than it has helped us grow. And that is the argument of the other side of like, oh no, we shouldn't be saying these things. Like, shut the fuck up. There's always a butt of the joke. Quit being butthurt that you are the butt of the joke right now. If you sit down and shut up, the next joke won't be about you. But if you make a fucking scene, we're going to keep bullying you because you're being obnoxious as shit. So sit your ass down and let us enjoy comedy. I hate going to comedy shows now because like I've seen so many comedians get heckled with like, "Oh, you're being racist." Yeah. That pisses me off. No, I'm not ranting. No. That was my
that seemed heartfelt. Yeah, I mean, I just think, not to make it about left versus right at all. I mean, I'm not partisan. I don't vote. I don't affiliate with things wrong. And, they're both corrupted thoroughly from the inside out, both institutions. Both intend only to steal from you and gain increasing amounts of power over you and exploit you basically for, goods and services and resources, and keeping you just happy enough to keep you alive. But listen, it's a problem when you get to a point where there are things you cannot say. I mean, this is the whole of the United States was founded on this premise. And I think deplatforming someone before you even give them a chance to defend themselves, I mean, it's the right of these private companies to do what they will with their talent. And, Rumble's chosen to elevate, YouTube's chosen to suppress. I mean, no shockers there. I think the important takeaway is these people need better tools, and what they need to be using is something more like a Noster, and a Bitcoin. Things that cannot be suppressed. They need free and open source distributed software. There's only 2 of them right now that promote freedom of speech. Out on. I mean, this is why we build our show here. This is why we're more fond of and cater to our Zap.stream crowd over both Rumble and YouTube, because this is the only money that matters. It's unruggable money. It's an unruggable audience. These people can show up every day. We're not going to be suppressed by any algorithm. It's in some ways it's kind of equal opportunity and survival of the fittest, and it's like a merit-based system. So I don't know. I find that a lot more equitable and fair, and there's a lot more proof of work in it. So, we can put in the work day after day. If Russell Brand had chosen to put in the work, he had all the resources to. If he had chosen to adopt Bitcoin and switch to something like a Nostr. Now, granted, the audience isn't there. I can understand why the appeal for him isn't there yet. But others have done it.
I was going to say, I don't agree that him just switching to Nostr solves all his problems. They would find another way to come at him.
They would find another way to come at him, but he could have been streaming his show. I mean, it's not there yet, but listen, just think a little bit into the future. I mean, we stream from here every day. He can get all his content, all his messaging out there. All of his money can't be rugged. He wouldn't have lost millions. He would have earned that money in Bitcoin, and it would be unruggable. I mean,
he's not doing his show right now on Rumble anyways, even though Rumble essentially said that he has the green light to do it, because his lawyers have told him, like, don't publicly talk for a little bit. Like, we need to sort of discuss amongst ourselves certain things. So to be honest with you, even if he was on Nostr and was using Zap.stream for months, he wouldn't be on right now. So I do want to touch on
fair enough. Yeah.
I like, as you've been talking, you asked me a question just about, like, is it because we're getting older that we're starting to see certain, like, we're noticing the freedoms that we're losing, or is it like society is really crumbling? And to be honest with you, I think it's just that we're getting older. And I want to go down a rabbit hole that I want to push the envelope a little bit. This is going to make some people uncomfortable, but this is a conversation that I've been itching to have. Have you seen Oppenheimer yet?
Dude, come on.
No.
Of course.
Okay, good. Okay. So you remember the scene where he's talking about, like, he's being challenged as to, like, why he's going to these communist meetings, and he's being accused of being a communist. He's like, there's nothing wrong with us having intellectual conversations and thoughtful conversations. Like, when did that become illegal? And then it dawned on me, it's like, no, that shit is genuine. No, I remember that. I don't want to dox you and say that, but no, he brings up such a valid point, and it kind of answers your question of, like, no, this always exists. There's always someone that we don't like. There's always a group that we don't want to hear their opinions from. There's always a group that we don't really care for. And in certain moments in history, we either side with that group or we side with the ones pushing them away. Very simple. But there's always a group that is having their freedoms challenged and pushed aside. Their opinions don't matter. They're not cared for. They're not looked at or viewed as equals. And in the 40s and 50s, it was communists and black people in America.
Sorry, I got a message. That was your point was lost on me, but yeah, there tends to be just 2 sides to these equations, if that's what you're getting at. And
we've always historically, like, suppressed people's right to free speech. It's just we don't suppress everyone's. We suppress specific groups that we don't like or agree with at that period of time. And now,
the easiest weapon,
non-women.
Non-women. Yeah. It's straight white men, or in Russell's case, bisexual white men from England.
Dude, I get it. You've been having some fantasies about Russell, but, like,
I've been having fantasies, bro. I can't. I'm not saying anything. It's just he's always struck me as just this wildly, like, just, I don't know, man. It's almost like creepy. It's like when people over sexualize themselves to that extent. I get it. It's kind of funny, but I think maybe the Britishness of it is, like, lost a little bit on me. It's always been a little bit creepy. I'm like, You know, we'll see when the trial comes out, but it's like I would say that guy's probably guilty. Like he's definitely done some shit. You know what I mean? Like I've watched videos of him harassing women. Like you can watch, they're online, they're there. And so I'm not defending his character. I'm sad for the guy that the opportunities were there and they were lost on him. And more than that, I'm sad for anyone who gets, canceled like this, loses their livelihood, without a fair shake here. But there is no such thing as a free trial anymore as a fair trial anymore in this country. I mean, or abroad. Like that's just not the case. Things have become too politicized for that. Like you've said, they're going to use these subtle weapons of oppression and turn the dials, to favor one party or the other, one popular stance or the other. What is the party line? What are the principles of the organizations in charge right now? Like, what are the politics of the day? You can read a book called it's called Lingua Terra Infirma or something. It's called LTI for short, the language of the Third Reich. And it's about a linguist who survived Nazi Germany, but he writes throughout it. He's hiding his papers in a chimney as he notates what happened. But as a linguist, he can't stop thinking about how the government used language to censor people and took certain phrases away from them and ostracized Jews and minorities from the rest of society based on the language they use, and slowly kind of warped the reality of all the people in Germany, purely based on language, which is a very frictionless device, right? So I don't know, highly recommend it. Kind of a disturbing book, but the reason I'd recommend reading it is because it has many, many really freaky parallels with what's happening today. With the words we can and cannot say, with the things and the positions we can and cannot hold. It's not, I won't kind of listen to you, or I don't want to associate with you if you have that opinion. It's like, no, you can't even be heard from. You cannot even be heard from. There's a reason we stream from this position of, Nostr and Bitcoin. Again, it's because, we have something to say that you cannot say on regular platforms. If we had a bigger show, we'd have to censor ourselves more for sure, because there's things you can't talk about today. And that's not right. You can't police people's ideas. 1984 come true, basically. You can come back. You can come back on screen.
The historical allegory 1984 that is a future biography written in the past about present.
Yeah, man. I mean, the other part is a lot of this stuff is exaggerated. Like, why should I give a fuck what is happening to Russell Brand? So you got to realize, like, humans aren't meant to contend with. No, I don't behave like Russell Brand. I have nothing to fear in that way. I haven't.
My next question was genuinely going to be like, how afraid are you that one day they're going to pull up like all the content that we've done for the last 2 years and use it against us in some way?
That's fine. I can live with stupid things that I've said. Most of the things that I say are stupid things that I regret later in life. Like it's not. That's a process of change. That's part of being human. I don't have, in fact, it would take you years to wade through all the stupid things I've said online and done. And I have no shame about any of them. You know what I mean? I can apologize for it all you want, but you can't put someone down for that. That's language. That's precisely what I mean, Q. Like we are uncancelable.
But that's what we're seeing
happen. It's what we're seeing happen
to people who are cancelable.
What's that?
Cancel culture exists within Bitcoin.
Absolutely, it does, but I don't subscribe to it. There was a time when I did. I mean, and then you kind of recognize what's happening. You're like, what is this? This is just Bitcoin's adopted to the extent that we've let in all these like language Nazis and people who want to police other people and people who want to tell. The minute you start to try to tell me how to use my Bitcoin, you can have your opinion. But when you're telling me top down, when you got that safety, like you will not do this, you will not use your Bitcoin like this, you cannot do this. No, that doesn't work. We're here for freedom. And that's absolute freedom to use money as you see fit. So I don't know. I don't know what the takeaway here is, man. I think actually, to get back to my point, it's too much. We contend with too many problems in the society at once. Humans are not meant to face all of the troubles of the world at once every day. And I know we're part of the problem, like broadcasting somewhat of a news show, but the important part of what we're doing is trying to say there's kind of an orthogonal viewpoint here. It's not left versus right, you know. It's not conservative, progressive. It's not pro energy, pro, Stone Age kind of green energy devolve into energy free, childless culture. It's more like, no, we can use software and open source infrastructure and communication tools to actually restore the cultural balance to something that is competitive again, to something that is actually closer to free speech again, and in fact tolerates free speech and allows humans to be whatever they are. I don't care their orientation, their race. None of this matters in the free speech world, because they don't even have to present as the humans they are in the physical world. You can attend to Nostr anonymously. Like, this is the beautiful thing. So it's just for those of us who actually want to face kind of the reality, at least a certain version of social reality that is not kind of censored and padded over with rounded edges. That's who me and you are here for. That's what Bitcoin and Nostr are here for. And that's why we're trying to spread these technologies and get people to adopt them so they can become more robust humans, actually look within themselves, and change based on what they're seeing, not live in this grand illusion of, the Russell Brands and the mainstream media. What else have we got for the day? Go ahead.
Let's dive into some questions because we got about 13 minutes.
Cool.
Left today. So I believe your question was, what is a replace by fee and have you ever used it?
Yeah, absolutely. So replace by fee is this pretty neat optional piece of Bitcoin software that allows you to basically boost a zero conf transaction. So if I send a transaction to the mempool and I didn't put a high enough fee rate because there's too many fucking inscriptions in the mempool and they raise the fee rate, and now all of a sudden I can't get anything confirmed on the main chain, which we'll get into again is a problem without inscriptions. This problem already existed. So block space is scarce, fee rates are competitive, so you might not always hit the right fee rate if you're not paying much attention, or maybe it shifts a little bit under your feet and you don't have a high enough fee. You're not going to get main chain settlement immediately within that next block. But let's say you really need it. Like, I really need a main chain finalized transaction. And by the way, people sitting at home like, fuck Bitcoin, it's too slow, this sounds like a stupid system, why does main chain settlement take so long, it's slow. I'd like to remind you that there is no final settlement with banks. At minimum, if you want to call this final settlement, it takes 3 days. Okay? 3 fucking days for your bank to achieve, and usually more. Usually it's more like 5. You've waited for those transactions, and you've waited for your ledger doesn't even update when you spend with your card. I mean, sometimes it takes days. If you do a bank deposit, it can take days for the ledger to actually reflect your balance. It's insane. But it never truly settles because you can have your bank account turned off. You can have the keys taken away from you. And you don't have access to it 24/7. You cannot withdraw your bank's sum in cash. So there's no final settlement in banks. There is final settlement in Bitcoin. It occurs about every 10 minutes in these blocks. And because that's such a valuable thing, well, because it's so scarce, it's a valuable thing. And it's, it's valuable because it's scarce. So the fee rates are competitive. So if your fee's too small, you can toggle on for a transaction, replace by fee. And this way you're noticing, fuck, I can't get into this block. Like, I only put 1 sat per byte per V byte, and the fee rate is like 12 or 25 or something high. Okay, I need to replace this transaction and basically send another transaction with a higher fee rate that's going to get prioritized. And because you can only spend Bitcoin once, the miners are going to pick up that higher fee rate transaction. Why? Because they're incentivized to take in a higher fee. and your first transaction is effectively replaced by the second. Now, this has another added benefit of potentially reducing block space, because you could also change the transaction. This, by the way, none of this can happen if your transaction confirms. If your transaction confirms, forget it. You can't replace by the fee. You already sent the transaction. There's no reason to. Why would you want to pay a higher fee rate? So this is purely when your transaction's in the limbo zone in the mempool, floating in the ether, in a instance of the mempool. So the added benefit, it can also conserve block space, because you could replace this transaction with a transaction with more recipients too. So maybe you change the transaction, add more recipients, and thereby conserve a little block space. Now, why it's controversial? Actually, let me test Q. Q, why is replaced by fee controversial? I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I'm just curious.
You totally put me on the spot. All I looked up was what it actually replaced by a fee.
You haven't used it before, fair to say.
No, I like avoid. Dude, I'm like the cheap.
Avoid Bitcoin
on chain fees. Like I'll wait a day. I'll wait 12 hours. Like cheap fees.
I'm with you, by the way. I put that shit on WhatsApp for Vite and chill.
Yeah, like it takes, like, dude, when I got my Lolly stuff, I literally put like 0 fees, and it took a week for me to actually get that Bitcoin into a wallet. So
that's because they had to spend a week to go find the Bitcoin and actually buy some Bitcoin to send you.
Yeah,
but yeah,
my assumption, and just like correct me if I'm wrong, but like talking this through, I would probably say it's because at a certain point you open the door for big money to just be able to almost like bully retail out of being able to transact on chain, because then all the transactions are available in the mempool. You can see what the going rate is, and then you can just like bid it up and prevent other people from transacting on chain. Would that be accurate?
Yeah.
Is that the right answer?
Wait, you said prevent other people from, go back to that. What did you say about preventing other people from,
like, if there's like with this system, say like I just don't like you, so I know what your wallet is, and then what I do is every time I see your wallet has a transaction, I will just go and try to make a transaction with a higher fee.
No. You can't affect my incentives, because, okay, in theory, yes, that could happen. But there's thousands of transactions. The miners could censor, but that's a different issue. That's not replaced by fee. Because if you think about that, all the fees are on a spectrum, that are coming into a block as the block is being constructed. So the miners are already handpicking. And it's not arbitrary. They're incentivized to pick one transaction over the other. Now, God forbid they know who you are and try to censor you and cast your transaction out. But that's like a totally different thing. The reason replaced by fee is controversial is because when you have a zero conf transaction, that transaction could be theoretically, you could double spend it. I could send you a transaction that has 0 confs. It would show up in your wallet with 0 confirmations, but you're like, okay, sweet. You send me the goods. I replace by fee and reroute that transaction to my own wallet, and I've just double spent my Bitcoin. That's why as a merchant or a person, it's imperative that you wait. I mean, I give it the good 6. 6 is the golden rule of thumb. That's about an hour's worth of, you do not confirmed. Because if replaced by fee is on, you can get rugged. And some wallets, some really good wallets will tell you, hey, this is a 0 conf transaction. This could be canceled. It's not canceled in theory. It would just be rerouted. In fact, that's a good question. Could it be canceled? I'd need to look into that. I don't think it can be canceled altogether. I think it could just be rerouted to an address that you control or an ally controls. So it's not really a huge loophole, though, is it? I mean, if you just wait one confirmation, if you just wait a single block before sending, you're good. You're good. Problem solved. I think replaced by fee is a pretty cool feature. I think, you see more and more of it now, especially with increased competition. It's nice. I think it's a great thing to see this block space being competed for and the fees going up. You know why? Because that means people are using Bitcoin main chain and they're excited to use it. More people around the world are like, I value this. This is a cool thing. I want my transactions settled. I want to use Bitcoin. I want to send Bitcoin. I think it's a great sign of increased adoption. And I think RBF is cool. But yeah, well, let's cover hold on. There's two more. We've got some more stories here. We covered cats and dogs. We covered Russell Brand and Rumble ad nauseum. Guilty. No. We didn't cover the we didn't cover the Scaramucci though.
Scaramucci Mooch is in the news.
Mooch is in the news today. You didn't hear this? He said he's going to the next 10 to 20 years are remarkably bullish for Bitcoin. You know, Mooch advocating you're holding for the long term. You're holding for the long term. He's bullish for institutional adoption reasons, which is actually, to be honest with you, is starting to make me bearish. When this many people believe that Bitcoin's going to go up once a spot ETF gets approved, might tank.
Gold didn't go up overnight because of its spot ETF. Like, it took years for it to really ascend up as a result of the inflow.
When did gold get a spot ETF? Do you know?
I believe it was in the 90s. I was just reading about this recently. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, I mean, these are fairly new instruments. In the history of the world, ETFs are like pretty new financial instruments. Pretty clumsy too. But I don't know. I don't know if that's the right comparison. I'm just saying, I don't think, because so many people believe this will happen, Bitcoin often takes the path of most pain.
2004.
So I think we're going to see, or it might go lower. Okay, so we've had a gold ETF for a minute. That was also like the last time the gold price appreciated too, to be fair. I mean, it's been
like straight up
2 decades. Yeah. so maybe this is the death knell for Bitcoin. Maybe this is it. We're sideways 26K all day till the end of time after the spot ETF's approved. But I think it's hilarious. Have you seen this new crypto show that Mooch is on? It looks absolutely awful.
The Shark Tank one.
Awful. Dude, how did Mario Narwhal get on that show? I mean, that guy's like an international criminal. I don't know. How did he even get into the United States to do the show?
You sound like SBF right now.
Really? Why?
This is literally what he said to CZ.
Oh, really?
Like, are you even allowed in the U.S.? You're an international criminal.
Well, he's not. No, CZ's not allowed in the U.S. He can't set foot in the U.S.
That doesn't make you sound any less like SBF.
Hey, man, I don't have a proprietary trading firm that's leveraging customer assets to enrich myself in the Democratic Party.
And you just described a bank. Like, anytime
I don't have a bank either.
I know, but like, this is where my issue with the FTX stuff really boils down to, is that all they needed was a fucking banking license, and everything they did was above board and legal. Like,
that's not true.
Yes, it is.
No, it's
not. It is 100% true.
No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. The campaign donations were completely criminal, and you cannot.
That's a separate thing. That is a complete. What I'm talking about is the operation of FTX and Alameda operates the exact same as Morgan Stanley and Bank of America, and the only difference is one of these entities has a banking charter and the other doesn't. But literally, if you,
I think it's similar, but it's not exactly the same. Like, because the evil of FTX, I don't know why you think it's as simple as they just need one license.
Because you're confusing the situation by bringing in all of the other things. I want to strictly talk from a business operational standpoint. If you think that
banks don't rug you and say, we're going to hold your money here and then trade against you, you know, you're giving an unsecured.
Do you not understand
deposit
Silicon Valley Bank?
I do. It's fractional reserve banking. Yeah, and it can blow up. But they're not. It's not one license away from being the same business. It's not the same, Q. Banks are also not crypto exchanges. What are you talking about?
You're right. They're fiat exchanges.
Oh my God. It's close. It's a similar evil. I'll give you that. I mean, it's not an ethical business. And I think they both misrepresent by miles, what they're doing with customer funds. I don't think people, I agree with you. I don't think people realize that their deposits are traded and fractionalized like 14-1. And I don't think they truly understand that if they went to pull out their funds, they wouldn't be there, and that they can't, and they wouldn't be allowed to, and they would be asked why. When I want to make a transaction over $2,000, my bank calls me and asks why.
Dude,
that's terrifying.
I can't withdraw more than $1,000 cash from an ATM. Like, absurd.
What would you need more than $1,000 cash for?
Because I had to pay
Why
my
would
rent
you need
in cash.
to? You pay your rent in cash?
I paid my like first 2 months rent in cash because I didn't have a cashier's check.
Interesting.
My landlord's from
is that
Russia.
Florida law? Do you have to have a interesting?
No, my landlord is Russian and like doesn't understand technology, honestly.
Well, all right, we got a couple more questions we should get into here really quickly.
All right, let's do one more because we're already at the hour.
Okay. The next one is, would you mine at home?
I did actually mine at home.
What, with one of those little plug-in
shitty S9.
An S9?
Yeah, I didn't connect it to a pool. I used it strictly for a heat source, but I wanted to see if I could actually like connect it and put it together. And instead of using like from a financial standpoint, this was silly. I recognize that, but it was more like.
And you plugged it in as a heater?
Yeah.
Where do you still have the S9?
No, it's in the shipping stuff, but so you remember those? I'm gonna DM you what exactly I'm talking about, but let's just say
it was something.
No, here. I don't want to say this.
I'll tell you a funny story. All right, that's fine. I'll tell you a funny story about miners. Will you type out your crime into the centralized restream chat here? I was at the airport and I see this like huge guy like dumping a backpack full of shit into a trash can at the airport before going through security. I'm like, yeah, that's not suspicious at all. And I kind of focus my eyes and I'm like, that's fucking Tatum. And it was Tatum. It was Tatum dumped out of his backpack into the airport garbage can before going through. So what the fuck are you doing? And he said, look, they work. You can have them if you want, but I don't think I can get through security with them. I'm just gonna abandon them here. I'm too scared. He was all nervous and shit.
Dude, he's white. He would be fine. I would be screwed.
Yeah, but he's like 6'4", like 300 pounds. This guy's huge. He's got this weird,
Tatum.
He's all fucking beat up backpack full of hash boards. It was a bad look, and he knew it, and he got rid of them. But anyway, free hash boards at the airport.
Which airport?
Damn, that's
Miami?
a good question. That is a great question. Where the fuck were we? It must have been Miami because we were in Costa Rica. I was coming back from Costa Rica. Yeah, or it must have been maybe going to Costa Rica because you already had the hash boards. I don't know. So anyway, you tried to mine at home, but you didn't subscribe to a pool?
No. There's no fucking hash rate on an S9. I genuinely just wanted to do it just to like kind of see how to do this.
How did you get the power source? You could just in. You didn't do any electrical work. You just plugged it into the wall. Okay, interesting. I didn't even know you could do that with an S9. The question is, would you mine at home? I would. I'm going to. I'm excited. I don't have a power bill. I'm running on solar out here. I'm excited to get a few miners this spring. Got some other expenses coming up, but get a few miners this spring. Get an electrician to come through and outfit the house to mine. Should keep the place cool in the winter. Maybe if I'm really feeling it, I can push the pace to have some heat like Q did. Yeah, but I will be also mining non-KYC sats, not just heat with my miners. So yeah, if you're in the comments, let me know what miner do you like. If you have experience at home mining, I'm going to need all the help I can get, and I'll probably film some of this and put it up because it's going to be an interesting experiment. I don't know that much about mining. I'm excited to learn. Excited to see what works and what doesn't, and just how how bad of an investment is it really? It is a terrible investment. I mean, it's the most competitive business in the world. You're better off just buying Bitcoin all day. But if you're looking for non-KYC sats or to learn, or you have free source of electricity, maybe it's lucrative. We'll see. I don't know. Is that it for the show today?
Yeah, let's wrap this up. I got a meeting right now. That'll do it for this week of Bitcoin Q&A. Send us your questions. What?
By meeting, Q needs to go to bed. He's got a meeting. He's got a meeting in bed.
I'm 100% going back to sleep right now.
Send us all your questions. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're on YouTube for as long as we're allowed to be on YouTube until we get canceled. If you're on Zap.stream, thanks for watching. Sorry, I've fucked up my title. But hey, we got all the viewers on the Bitcoin Q&A account, so that's good. And on Rumble, please subscribe. We'll be back on Monday, 10 a.m. Eastern. Catch you then.